Hey trackies, welcome back to another video here on TXT Track Time. Please remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Post last evening's events that went down in the men's 100 meters at the national championships in Jamaica, where Kishane Thompson walked away with his first national title, winning the race in 9.77 seconds, I started to contemplate in my mind, given everything that I just saw, could I have been potentially wrong with my estimation for a Kishane Thompson? Now, what I noticed in that race specifically was that Kishane Thompson pretty much slowed down, you would say, 30 to 20 meters away from the finish line, give or take, you would say, or maybe take, you would say, from the finish line. And he still managed to clock a 9.77 seconds clocking. Now, what was very interesting to me based on this particular clocking was the events that pretty much transpired before leading up to the men's 100-meter final, and then thinking as well about some conversations that Stephen Francis himself had with a few media personnel. And I started to think to myself in that moment, could I actually have been wrong with my estimation for Kishane Thompson? Now, back in December, I did a video talking about Kishane Thompson, and track is a lot of times when I do comparisons between what an athlete did before versus what an athlete may do now, it's not necessarily to say that athlete is going to be that the next person, or a copy image of that person. No, it's for me to just give you like a guideline base why I got to the thoughts that I've reached, right? So if I don't show you what a self power looked like back then you probably wouldn't understand why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking about a Kishane Thompson. So it's not to say that Kishane Thompson, is an ex Asaf or anything like that. And I'm actually happy that he came out and said, hey, I respect Asafa and everything like that, but I'm Kishane and I want to be referred to as Kishane. I'm happy that he, is setting himself apart, because I do think, he will be able to set himself apart, in years to come as it relates to performances that Asafa Paul has, done in the past. And I've talked about this already. When I looked at the uptake for Kishane, I pretty much said, if we go based on, the breakout year versus the following year, we got from an Asafa Powell a 9.77 world record performance the following year versus a Kishane. Right now, we see him at a 9.77. Yes, but that 9.77 was done, again, slowing down. And again, he got instructions to not run through the line, just give enough to qualify, whether it was second or third, wherever you were, just qualify pretty much in the race. And that's practically what he did. But clearly, he wasn't expecting to go that fast, even doing that, following those instructions. And he said something very interesting to Stephen Francis last evening. He said, I followed your instructions. I shut it down after 70, and I still ran 9.77 seconds.
I'm gonna stop. Is it? I'm sorry. Yeah, go back inside. You have to go talk to the media. Good job.
And Shakis, I have to say, I was absolutely flabbergasted, because even though I was charting his progress and I was saying, guys, we could very well see from a Kishane Thompson this season 9.7s, and I talked about low 9.7s, to 9.6s. I'm still thinking, no, after seeing last night's performance, that I was grossly underestimating what he could potentially do. Right now, Kishane did say, hey, I tried to slow down. He was indeed slowing down, but his momentum literally carried him through the line so quickly, and again clocked that 9.77 clockings, which makes me think if he was still going, executing that race all the way through 100, we could have very well gotten that 9.6 tonight, right? And then our last evening, last evening, right? So we could have very well gotten that 9.6 last evening. And then I start to think, okay, Stephen said whatever he does at the trials, he will be a much better version clearly at the Olympic Games, given the fact that one, again, Kishane only started really training fully since March, right? And two, clearly, Stephen himself looks like he's targeting all of his athletes. That's the vibe I get based on the conversations he's been having. He's targeting all the athletes to really have their best performance, literally, at the Olympic Games. So whatever performances we're seeing now for the lot of them, just expect it to be taken up a notch. Not only Kishane, everybody, but it will be taken up a notch when they get to the Olympic Games. So Then I start to think, so if last evening potentially we could have seen a 9-6, then what could we get back to by Paris, right? Then I start to think, are we gonna see Akisha and Thompson being able to challenge times only one person in history was able to do, and that is a Usain Bolt? Are we literally going to be seeing things like that? But it doesn't necessarily mean track is that it's going to happen in the immediate, because another thing I noticed about Kishane, which is something he pointed out himself, he has a lot of things to work on. I spoke about this back in this December when I did that video, and I said, as long as Kishane is able to fix this, he will get to 9-6. Problem is, he did all those things, or he's close to doing all those things without, fixing every single thing. And that is where I'm starting to think to myself that, hold up, I actually grossly underestimated this man's ceiling, right? And right now, at this particular moment, I'm absolutely excited, and I'm starting to think to myself, and I know a lot of you are going to say, hey, that's a crazy thought and a crazy notion. I've seen crazier things happen. And guess what, track is? There's nothing wrong, with putting this positivity out there and wishing our athletes the best. If they don't attain it, track is, it's not something to dunk on them, clearly. Or me putting this out there as a time that he could potentially get to doesn't mean I'm giving him pressure. You know what I mean? It means I'm acknowledging how awesome I think he is. And I do think he's an awesome talent. And he's literally just at the beginning of his career. And that's what makes me so flabbergasted when I start to think about it and I start to say, wait a minute, I actually am thinking now that I grossly underestimated where his ceiling could potentially be. And I'm actually thinking that that ceiling, you know what I mean? In the near future, maybe not this year, because I'm definitely expecting a 9-6 this season, but could he potentially get into those 9-5 realms, right? Once he cleans up all those technical flaws that he clearly visibly still has, right? And still able to go so quickly, right? Once he cleans up that all up, what could Kishane Thompson potentially run? And that for me, Chucky, is a scary thought and a scary notion, but I'm also here for it. I'm also excited for it, for whatever could potentially come from him. All I know that Chucky is right now, we saw something absolutely show stopping from him last evening, 9.77 seconds, slowing down 70 meters into the race, 30 meters away from the finish line. Some people say 20. I'm honest to God, Chucky is looking at it. When I watched that race live, I thought, 30. When I, rewatch it, I still think 30. You know what I mean? But I guess it depends on, who is looking at it. They may think, less. They may think 20, some even say 10, right? But that's my view as it relates to how he shut it down or when he shut it down. You all can always tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. But yeah, what do you think about Akishi and Thompson? No, originally I did have, crazy notions in my mind about 9-6, and now I have crazier notions in my mind. But I'm actually here for it. I'm actually enjoying, this moment in track and field where we're getting to see a new star, come to fore, and we're enjoying every moment of his progress and just waiting to see with bated breath where he actually gets to at the end of the day, track is. And I know I'm just excited for him, and I just love, this young man's prospects. Now, you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I know most, if not all of you in the chat right now, grossly underestimated him, because I remember vividly when I did that, video back in December. Most, if not all of you were, dragging me for that video. So yes, all of you did underestimate him. Now that you saw that, 9.77, and you're thinking about all the events that transpired during, the conversations that happened before and the conversations after, the interviews that he's done as well, talking about, how much more he has to give. Clearly we could see, that he has so much more to give. Where do you one think he will end up this season in terms of a time wise, and also two, just overall in general, if you look at the things that he can potentially clean up on, could he, be one of those athletes that may indeed challenge what the greatest has ever done, Usain Bolt? Let me know your thoughts. Of course, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.